Hey again, everybody. This is our video introduction to the synthesis essay, which is not due until next week. This week you should be working on the disciplinary analysis, which I've read some of your rough drafts on, and they've come out pretty good, actually. Our next essay is a little more formal and a little more research-driven, and it really can be considered the prelude to our final project, which is going to be more of a research project based on the premise of an argument. So that is, there you go. I mean, I practically spilled the beans on the last paper. But that's what it's going to be about. Probably the easiest premise to get around. But for this one, we're going to take a slightly different approach. So I wanted to go over what I've written, and if you want to go over the handout, I've posted that under the course documents folder, and I think I've also emailed it to everyone. So go ahead and look on the handout as I go through some of these points. Now the assignment, I'm just going to read this out loud, explaining a few things as I go along, of course. In this brief 4-page essay, you will analyze several published scholarly writings from journals in your discipline in concert with one another. So I'm not asking you to analyze, don't think of this as 3 small essays where you have to analyze each article. Really what I'm looking for is an analysis that encompasses all 3 and looks at them in correlation with one another. What are their connections, their disconnections? And when I mean connections and disconnections, I don't mean just content-based. You can also write about the form. How does one's rhetorical argument or rhetorical form differ from another writer's? So that's something you might want to look at as well. So don't think you're just shackled to the idea of content. You can also write about form. You will be asked to investigate the modes of critical thought and discourse within your field. Essentially, you will latch on to a popular issue or topic debated by scholars within your discipline and explore the connections that could be made between these essays. Draw on at least 3 sources to get your point to the readers, but don't let the sources do the talking for you. In other words, don't turn this in just a long collection of quotes or a catalog of other people's ideas. If I see that you've written something and you have not put any sort of any of your own ideas into that essay, I'm going to be very disappointed, and that will obviously reflect in the grade I give you. So please make sure that you don't let others do the talking for you, even though you will have to do some summarization and you will have to pull quotes from these sources. That's inevitable. You will have to do that. So those summarization skills we learned earlier last week will help you. But I don't want that to be the be-all, end-all for this essay. You need to put more in here than that. So where was I? The emphasis should be on the way you synthesize the 3 essays, exploring and analyzing their connections and disconnections. You should not just summarize your sources, and we've talked about that. While there will undoubtedly be some summarization here, the secondary sources should supplement your own ideas, not supplant them. And that the readings you've been doing this week and last week kind of hammered that point home. So make sure that you don't fall into that trap. You must use the documentation style regularly deployed in your department. That's different from all of you. Some of you use APA, some of you use MLA, some of you use Chicago style, some of you may not know what you use. And for those of you who don't know what documentation style is typically used in your discipline, that's your homework. You need to find that out. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. If you, I'm not going to research this. I mean, as long as you use a documentation style correctly, I'll be pretty okay with it. But try to use the one that you're most familiar with, the one you're most comfortable with.